See.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Let's do this.
Let's go.
Maybe we're all done.
It's the wrong button.
Maybe we're all done.
No, we're not all done.
I am done.
Yeah. That's gotta
Can
play
she
out.
hear that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, she heard that. And welcome back to the Riley Beck Project with Crystal and John.
Hi.
We have some exciting news.
We do.
We've gotten some ads.
Yeah. All of our ad spaces are either full or pending.
Yes.
So the first one was Will. He always has to be first.
Always.
Mr. Crazy
Shout
Laser
outs
Dad.
to Crazy Laser Dad.
And then our second one is Stan and Len with Lens Digital. And the third one is Houston Acrylic.
Yes.
The fourth one is currently pending.
So we can't talk about it.
But they're very interested. So
moving
but that's
forward,
super exciting because
expect to see those ads sprinkled in throughout the podcast.
Yeah, just waiting on scripts and stuff.
That's
but
it. Yeah.
Those will be there. So thank you for your support.
Mm-hmm. And thank you guys for watching, making it all possible. We got a great guest today.
We do. Who's that?
We have Missa with Missa by Missa.
It's just Missa.
Yeah, it's just Missa.
By Missa.
By Missa.
Yeah.
Missa by Missa. How's it going?
It's going great. How are you guys?
Oh,
Oh, yeah,
just same old.
Yep. So we're recording this a day later.
2 days later.
2 days later.
Yeah, because
2 days later. Because
day of, I decided to make a trip to the urgent care.
We'll get more into it with our life update, but just know that this is a impromptu podcast because it's not when it was supposed to be scheduled for.
And I'm not better. So
a little bit. A little bit? No? Okay.
No.
All right.
Not to my standards.
So how did you guys meet?
So we met through the groups, mostly through Will. Because she's tied to Will with what she has with her and Daryl and Will. They have a three-way. We'll talk about that in a minute.
It sounded like it. I didn't...
Subscription, anyway.
Yeah, subscription. And then, I'm friends with Will too. And so we kind of, and then it just, I don't know, group chats happen and whatever. Right. But we met in person at the last conference.
Oh,
so nice. Yeah. And we just knew of each other in the groups prior to that. But so tell us more about you and how the heck you got into the laser world, and then you can explain better about the three-way.
Oh boy. Curveballs already.
Sorry. You're gonna blame the cold on that, so
you're good. I ended up in the laser world kind of by accident. I have always been making art and loved to make art, and then had a baby, and I stopped doing anything other than taking care of a human. And a lot of my just art making that I would do for myself really fell by the wayside. And then I just found myself really.
What was your medium? What kind of art were you making at the time?
So pen and ink has probably been one of my go-tos for a long time. Sometimes my soul just needs to paint. So I really love painting too. And often I'm just making a mess. I don't really have an idea. Let's just see what happens. Right.
So,
let's just figure it out. I'm also an art therapist. And so making art is just something that's really been powerful in my whole life. For just expression.
And is that with kids or adults or just all of the above?
Anyone. I mean, a lot of people see it as something that's just for kids.
Right.
But we do an awful lot of talking.
Yeah.
In and about and all, all the things. And so much of our experience doesn't always have the perfect words. Yeah. And so doing something creative, just has an opportunity to make things connect or, bring things out or have us see things in a different light. It was definitely that way for me. I don't have all the perfect words for every feeling that ever entered my body, just helping people communicate better through the creative process or just making art because it's just nice to make art.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
Yeah. So really wanted to get back into it, and Glowforge's targeted ads worked real well.
Yep.
So this is like an epic, like what Instagram made me buy experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, so anyway, got a Glowforge, and my husband surprised me with it because he was tired of me going, "Hey babe, look at this. Hey babe, look at this. Look what I can make." And he was just thinking like, this is just going to be more shit that fills our house. Like, you're just going to make tchotchkes and you're going to fill the house with stuff.
Yep.
Fine. Something about your soul needing it. So fine.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, so I got a laser. I struggled with Inkscape like hard.
Oof. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, and I was so frustrated. Like, tears were shed.
Yeah, I bet.
I just got to like making earrings off Etsy, and then started selling the earrings or whatever. And then finally got Illustrator. And that's actually how I met Daryl, is because he was like, to get Illustrator if you're going to be making things, like get a tool that like helps you do the things. So I did that, and then
I make it easier and a little less frustrating, hopefully.
Yeah, in some ways that I could actually physically draw and move it into a program without all these loops and hoops, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I don't know. Then I made some little dingle ornament. This little
the
balls on strings, and the rest was history, I guess.
Yeah, the dingles definitely did take off.
Like dingleberries?
Yes, but much prettier.
Kind of.
Okay.
In ornament version. So it's like it's a round ornament with like ornaments dingling with like, and you put like names or family names or
like hanging from strings, right? Like
and then she like there's a million different ways she made dingles. Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah, she makes dingles look good. Well, and so you recently, have you announced that you are upgrading?
Well, if you haven't, she just did.
Yeah. I haven't really announced it. It almost doesn't feel real yet, but definitely got in on that promotion and got myself a Mira 9. So yeah, I'm excited for that to hopefully come in March.
It's coming in March.
I hope.
Yeah.
Did
you get the stand, or are you building one?
I'm getting the stand. So my husband doesn't want to build one.
Yeah, because what happens is all of a sudden, you're waiting forever and ever and ever, and then it's going to be here in a week, and you're like, oh shit, I got to build that stand.
Yeah.
That's exactly how I would have. Yeah, that tracks.
Yeah, because you think you have all the time in the world, and then I remember, like with us.
No, we had the stand. We had the stand a little bit before,
just barely, but. Hey guys, thanks for watching and listening. If you'd like to support us monetarily now or in the future, here are a few ways.
You can join us on Patreon and reach out to us to run ads on the podcast.
For only $20, by the way.
Only $20.
You could also buy a file from my Etsy shop, some keychain accessories from my website, the course to learn some file designs, or explore one of my partnerships with either Eon or Pyburn.
Yeah, and you can find all those links on our Facebook group. That's the Riley Black Project.
Yep. To support us for $0 a month, you can share the podcast with your laser friends, subscribe to our YouTube channel, interact with our content, share, like, comments. What else?
And subscribe and leave a review on our Apple podcast. And then follow us on social media. That's Facebook and Instagram, the Riley Black Project.
Yes, we appreciate your support so much. We have big dreams of John joining us full time, and anything that you can do monetarily or for free to help us get there, we appreciate it so much. Okay. Anyway, when ours was showing up, the garage was not ready. No. And we had to like panic.
Yes. But you did have the table. But we had the table.
Yeah, and we kind of had to panic clean for the table coming because we had to put it somewhere. And then, but that was kind of down to the wire too. But Mindy's husband made that for us, and it's still it's a badass table.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, and he did not charge me nearly enough. I don't think he charged me any labor at all. It was just all materials and stuff. But it was awesome. Yeah, but the stands that come with them, they're nice too, and it's a solid plan, especially if you don't have someone
to build it for you.
Yeah.
I ain't got time for that. I just need it. I just need it to be cutting.
Was that the deal that included the fiber?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah. So I just need that to be cutting too. I'm just like ready. I just need to turn on.
All the things.
Yeah.
I need to know the
definitely take one thing at a time. I've heard the fibers is much more of a learning curve. So to anybody who took advantage of that deal, it was an amazing deal.
Yeah.
But please give yourself some grace and take one thing at a time. Do not try to learn them both.
Well, yeah, because you got essentially you got two lasers.
Yeah, and a lot of people were coming from a Glowforge and are going to an industrial.
Right.
And so
because Glowforge kind of makes it easy to do
but
everything.
they almost
hinder you?
A little bit, not in they dumb it down a lot, which is great when you're new and you know nothing about lasers. But when you need to know more about lasers, it kind of holds you back a little bit. Because I remember when I got my my mirror, I don't remember if it was on order or I already had it or whatever, but I heard terms like gantry and y-axis and x-axis and your Z table and all. And I was like, sure, okay, what are those things?
And meanwhile, what got me was when you said it didn't come with a camera.
When it what?
Like you didn't have a camera on it. I'm like, well, then how are you gonna line anything up?
That's what all of us Glowforge users say.
Yeah.
Every time we said it to Emily, she'd use the magic gif. She's like, magic. But it's because it has the little red dot. It's literally it's more accurate than the camera because it if you set that red dot right there and you tell it to start, it's going to literally start right there. It won't be, a little bit off. And it does have a camera. I just haven't calibrated it.
Right. No, but I mean, coming from I still don't know much. I know more than I did.
Right.
But seeing how you would put the design, with using the camera in the machine and well, now you're not going to have that camera. So how are you going to overlay? How are you going to know where it's going to cut and how you're going to have to learn all that?
Yeah. But it's a lot of that when you're transitioning to one to the other, but once you do, it's
take your time. Don't overwhelm yourself with both machines. I would do one at a time.
Yes, definitely.
Instead of trying to get both up and running at the same time.
Yeah, because one can be overwhelming enough, and you just gotta take it one piece at a time.
I was that way with my Glowforge. I did not know what an SVG was. I didn't know what a vector was. I didn't know what a raster was. None of that stuff. And I'm and this thing is gonna it's a laser in my house. Is it gonna catch on fire?
Listen, I've said this a few times on the podcast. I didn't know it needed to be vented. When I because they show you all the pretty marketing photos and videos, you don't see this aluminum tube coming out of the back of it going out the window. And so that's definitely on me, partially on their marketing, but also on me in that I'm sure that was in there somewhere in the description or buried in the details. But yeah, definitely I had no idea. And then I was in the Glowforge groups and I saw all the the venting and all that. I might have known right before, but when I first heard of Glowforge, I definitely had no idea. Yeah. I didn't know you needed to clean it. I had no idea that I was going to need to clean it and surface it. I thought it was just going to cut fancy
who needs
things.
Maintenance? Who needs maintenance?
I didn't clean my air assist for a year.
Yeah. Probably same.
I'm floored that I've even made it that far because now I have to do it all the time for some reason. But I did it a year. I was like, what is an air assist? I don't know. Will answer my questions.
Right. So how did that work? How did you pair up with Will and Daryl, and what is it that you guys have?
So I had started chatting with Daryl kind of right when he came into the kind of the laser scene. I really was curious how he was bringing his art to life, and pretty much harassed him until he was my friend.
Yeah. Solid plan.
And fortunately it worked. And you know, he had already built a relationship with Will, but as Will does, right? Like, he is so good at just reaching out to people in the community, like making those connections. And he was definitely somebody who did that in my early journey, and emboldened me and encouraged me, and all the things that I was kind of trying, and that started off our relationship. And then, you know, Daryl and I had kind of worked with a lot of different ideas kind of through the course of our friendship, just kind of brainstorming and stuff. And we eventually landed on a subscription, and we really wanted to have a really all-inclusive subscription, right? Like, just not one file, right? Like one. Yeah. So, so Daryl and Will and I were talking, and so we put together forgeworldplus.com, and and so we alternate doing a file set. Will gives a discount on his blanks for 10%, and then Amanda Levitt from Cerulean Tides became our distributor for acrylic, so she's given a discount. Nice. Yeah, and Laser Wood Supplies, he's given a discount, all for members, and we're, you know, content and support. Yeah, just it's a pretty close-knit community on Facebook too, and yeah.
Well, and so you guys started, though, probably pairing up with Glowforge World, right? Though the group.
Yeah, that's true. Like, yeah, I was one of the first members of Glowforge World. I remember. Nice. Yep, when I think Daryl and Will and Pied Piper and Colleen, right? Like, there's some other admins at the time, and some things have shifted through. Yeah, so through building Glowforge Worlds, and Will got his group, and all doing the groupie things, and now there's 1,000,000 and 9 Facebook groups for lasers.
Right.
And I admin half of them.
Right. Yeah, I know. We're all like admin, moderator, hoarders. Like, there's not, can't just have like one group. We all have like our individual groups.
Right.
And then we have like several paired up groups. Yeah. And they all kind of like have their own purpose, but some of them overlap in a sense. And you're like helping out a friend, and then just it snowballs into a million different Facebook groups. So you're also a Replica Surfaces affiliate. So talk about that a little bit, and how you got into that.
So taking good pictures is so essential to like selling stuff. It's gotta be like pretty sells. It's got to be pretty for it to like walk off with a customer. I was a studio photographer for a really long time in an earlier life. And so I enjoy taking pictures. And so when I put all this work into making stuff, I wanted the picture to be pretty.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you can literally put like your whole heart and all of the work into like this nearly perfect piece. But if you take a shitty picture, it's gonna look shitty. I know.
And then it can be confusing. Like, why isn't this selling, or just even how to solve the problems, like the crappy shadows in your kitchen with the overhead lights or whatever.
Right.
So I kind of had a photography knowledge base from just portrait photography. And so but I had never done product photography. So like I had to figure that out too.
Right.
Cause you start a business and now you're everything. You're like social media. Now you have a podcast and like you have a website and
crazy.
And so it's like, okay, I guess I got to make these not look like crap. So I just went to Joann's and found like some blank background that
yeah,
probably like glue letters to and like hang on their wall.
right.
There's just this like, I don't know, 10 by 10 square for the longest time. And then, you know, like Instagram made me buy something else.
Right.
And so anyway, I saw an ad for replica surfaces. They were big. They were they're like 23 by 23. It was just much bigger. I was hoping that they wouldn't be real shiny and it could be just a very easy, simple. And so I bought like 1 or 2 because they were expensive.
Yeah, right.
And I hung out there for a long time.
Yeah.
And it just really just made things so much easier. I finally hit a part in my business where like time is money.
Yeah.
And so I could be like carrying my little 10 by 10 tray someplace, trying to find someplace to put it. And then the bigger stuff was like a problem.
Yeah.
Trying to find like a corner in my house that had like good natural light.
And no shit.
I was taking like lamps and putting like sheets over them, trying to make diffusers. I was like, I was doing some really crazy shit in my living room, trying to take pictures for bigger stuff. And I'm like, what's my hourly wage right now? How much time am I wasting?
Yeah.
Right? Like trying to make a light out of a halogen and almost burning us to bits. Like, this is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So I got more, and it just makes life so much easier. And I got the studio so I could just roll the little cart around wherever I wanted to, out to the back deck, to the front door.
I avoided that thing so much just because it is an investment, you know, because it's a lot of money. But what was happening was like we made this like shipping area, but it was also going to be like my picture area. But the lighting was horrible. And when I had anything that was slightly bigger, trying to get it all the way in frame and not my shipping station behind my backdrops, you know, because I couldn't do the 3-way of like, you know, the backdrop on the bottom and the, you know, the back and then the side. Like I needed an additional one, but I couldn't so trying to get them all, you know, when it's really only set up for the 2 and like light boxes are small unless they're not, because then they're like huge and they take up a whole room.
Yeah. And it's a personal preference for me, but I really dislike fake light. It has to be really good fake light, but there's just something about it that's off-putting to me.
Yeah.
I'm probably in the like far and few between. I mean, I think as long as you have a good light source, I mean, I think we have a primary light source and then also a secondary one that fills in some of those shadows.
Right.
So that we're not getting these really harsh edges and like hot spots, really like blown out spots on our product. Because even if people
light truly is the easiest though. I mean, I guess, well,
it can be.
Right.
It can also not be.
Not on a sunny day. So, I mean, like, you can't do it on not on a sunny day unless you're trying to get those like crazy shadows and be all arty about it. But a cloudy day is fantastic because you've got a diffuser built in that clouds through the diffuser. And so it spreads your light out in multiple directions evenly, fills in all your shadows for you, softens them for you. And it's free. I mean,
my porch. Yeah.
It's limited. I mean, because, you know, the sun is either up or down, but
that is where I did struggle though, because I finished a lot of my projects at night. And then it was like, shit, now I have to have time to photograph this tomorrow before I pack it up in light. So that is where like the studio light kind of is nice if you can get that setup working. But now
did you get studio lights? Did you get studio lights?
Well, so I used to use the lights we actually use in here now. And then we moved them in here. And I got some other cheaper ones and I hated those. But now I mostly use natural light and I take the studio thing and I roll it outside. And or I take it in here and I use this as my backdrop.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I got some tabletop studio lights. They're just little guys and they just sit. In a pinch, they worked really great too.
Yeah.
I was pleased.
And so what are like some tips that you gave me when I first got my studio of like how to get good photos?
I don't know if we went down the natural light route, but seems like you had already arrived there.
Yeah.
But all of that is important. And then I think we did a lot of talking about like being thoughtful about where your like what direction you're taking from, right? So if you're up above, you're going to get a very different look than if you're even with your product. So if you're up above looking down at it, it's going to get distorted. It's going to be a very different look versus if you either just like flip your phone around so the camera's at the bottom. It's over here. The camera's at the bottom, or if you just like bend over and like.
I saw someone saying to turn your phone upside down. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, that's how I take when I take pictures of my car or like whatever at work. I just put it that way. It's closest to the ground. Yeah.
You could have shared that with your wife.
I didn't know you needed to know that.
You both got there.
So the thing is, I also have I work in TV. I'm a cameraman, so I work the video, not the stills aspect, but a lot of the lighting and stuff like that transfers over as well, and angles.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, the other one you told me, which I already used, but iPhone and portrait mode helps a lot.
Helps. It's a little harder with some of the more like intricate detailed or like uneven edge things. It
works perfect for tumblers though.
Yeah, for tumblers or solid objects or things that have a nice clear edge and not a lot of like window peeking through kind of things.
Right.
One of my favorite things to do too is like to put, I don't know, I'll stack like stain cans on my replica surfaces because that's
great.
I know. And then I'll put an item on top of the stack and take it straight down so that it's in focus, but everything underneath is out of focus.
I thought, it's not free, but it might be a good investment for you so that you're not living on the edge with stain cans on your expensive backdrops. But I got some clear hexagon, like plastic acrylic props, because I was realizing when I took like I had an order for a wedding party, and that was really hard to photograph, because it's like it's most dynamic when they're all together, but then getting them all together and making them like so that you can see them all and look nice and stuff, it was really difficult to photograph. So I needed like the little stands to.
Yeah, that's also a great tip. I mean, I think things that are interesting just straight across is a little harder to be dynamic, but if you can do levels, keeping things in groups of odd numbers, just as far as composition, trying to make triangles, like going from Restream always messes me up with the opposite.
Oh, opposite, yeah.
Yeah. So like having something taller in the back, having your product in the middle at like mid-range, and then having something smaller in the front, like just trying to bring your eye in and not overcrowd your product. And I mean, being mindful of things like pet hair and, like attention to details, right? Or if you're like things aren't lining up, or one label isn't twisted the same way as all the other labels. Like people may not even register. People may not even register that those things are off, but their eye will be like, there's something about that that doesn't feel comfy.
They won't know what it is, but it'll still kind of throw them off a little bit.
But feeling that way about your product. So there's something about your product that makes me uncomfortable. I don't know what it is. Let's move on, right? Like that's what needs that. So like just even those little things to pull the eye in and keep it comfy is pretty.
It's huge. Yeah. And then there's also the apps for afterwards, because every once in a while We haven't had a dog in 2 years, but I swear to God, every once in a while there will be some dog hair that like slips in, or some kind of hair or lint, especially on acrylic.
Even after death, he's still.
Of course he would. He would. It's Martin. Martin could.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So having something like even if you're not proficient in Photoshop, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I do 99.9% of all the things that I do on my cell phone because it's always on my body and I'm in front of the TV, right? Like we are constantly.
The camera's not that bad.
No. Yeah. It's great.
Good.
Yeah. Well, the apps do really well. I mean, sure, you can do, if you're doing like wedding photography and like that kind of stuff, but for what we do, most of the editing we can do from our phone and from these apps. So the other app that I use to correct when there's like lint or hair or something, like some kind of blemish, sometimes it's even just like a reflection will look weird. But I'm pretty sure Heather told me about this one, but it's Light Leap. And it does really good about fixing those little like lints or blemishes without distorting the image too much. Okay. It's literally it's like a little Band-Aid icon, and it's kind of magic. It's awesome. But it's great. Like
Lightroom has the same, Lightroom has the same feature, the same Band-Aid little icon too.
I was gonna say I've heard good things about Lightroom.
Yeah.
I use Lightroom. I use the free version for a really long time. I didn't really have a need to go to the paid one until I just upgraded the whole Adobe suite anyway. So that's the only reason why I jumped into the paid version of Lightroom. But the free one does just fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the video app that I use for reels and that kind of stuff a lot. I use InShot, and I used the free version for probably a year. And then I finally was like, I really enjoyed the app. And so I kind of wanted more of the, the fancier transitions or just a little bit of the perks, but I felt comfortable paying for the paid version because I had already enjoyed the free version. So
much. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And the paid version comes with a bunch of different presets. It's basically Lightroom's version of a filter, right? Instagram filter.
Right.
So you can kind of add some of these things and do some correction afterward.
Well, and then also keep your photos cohesive, because that's the other hard part is that what I'm kind of going through is at least mine, they all have a similar look, feel and color because I'm more on the cool side. There's some warm ones that slip through because I thought I could get away with fixing some of that in editing and it didn't work so well. But like when you do, it sucks when you kind of like shift and you're like trying to find your photography way. And I have 190 files. So that means at least 150 of those are like better photos, Crystal. So
it shows your growth.
It does. But it also, I mean, they're at least in the same color family for the most part. So they kind of go together. But it doesn't make my shop as cohesive as I would like it to be. Eventually, I'd like to
retake some of those photos.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think like it's a great point. Like what you're talking about is branding, really, just this visual branding of having this cohesiveness across the way you take your photos, the lighting, the tones, the filtering, the framing, like how you take all of those. I mean, I'm 3 years in now and I just got a logo today, basically.
Right. Yeah. Congrats, it looks awesome.
But people say when they come across my photos, they know that I took that photo, right? Because it's in a way that I do it. And so we can be branding ourselves through all of this stuff, even if you're not ready to drop down a logo or do all this stuff. Like, thinking about your style and your brand, wanting that.
That's important too. I mean, because like you said, like we'll notice your work before we even know it's your work. Like with my friend Stephanie, who we've had on before, anytime she posts something, I know immediately that it's hers. And like, she's like, oh, and she thinks that she doesn't have it together. And I'm like, you have it together enough that I recognize your photos before I see who posted it. So, it's
like an extension of ourselves, really. I think when we are expressing ourselves through any of this creative way, right? Like ourselves find our way through. And it's really nice to have the skills and the products and the equipment to allow that to happen. And I feel like when I moved over to a more set photography setup, I was able to spend less time constructing things in my house and crying over it.
Right. Yeah. Stressing.
Right. And just like, oh, cool. I can take that picture. And now the only thing I need to worry about is the sun being up or down and not 90 million other things. And I'm a mess. Like I have taken over my entire house. The trash, my husband was not wrong. There's tchotchke shit everywhere.
Damn it. He was right.
Creative chaos here. I have a 5-year-old, right? And so like there's stuff everywhere. But I have a little box that is a studio that is for my photos that is relatively on most days not a hot mess.
Yeah,
my studio now.
That's this studio right here.
The replica studio, though, unfortunately, has now become
the catch-all
by the front door, and I need to fix that.
You have your wallet on.
Yeah, because I'm gonna mess up one of my backdrops. I'm gonna be pissed, so I need to get it together. But I'm like, this is always gonna be my clean surface to take pictures, and
nope,
here we fucking are. I just found a new surface to put stuff.
New table to put things on.
Yep.
I mean, it's real life. It's just real life, you know.
Yeah.
Like, we're just messy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our brains are messy. All of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to let it be a mess and not judge too much about it, you know?
Yeah, right. I mean, you gotta work with what you're given, you know, and make the best of it. And sure, you can always like aim to do better. And like, one of our newest goals is opening mail when we get it.
Yep.
Because we're really bad about not doing that, and then that kind of bit us in the ass lately because we missed some important memos that came through mail.
Yep.
But I mean, we're celebrating those little wins, and like, I'll get the mail out and I'll give it to him, and I'm like, your turn, and he opens it, you know, my turn, and we've always been bad about it. We were bad in Colorado. Yeah. I was bad before I met him.
Especially now where everything is email or
everything's so digital that like my brain tells me I don't need that stuff because they'll send me an email or they'll call me.
Right. You think it's important enough. Right. And that's how they get you. Well, we sent you mail. We sent it in the mail. You didn't get the letter? Well, yeah, but it's on the stack. Like, why didn't you send an email? Why didn't you? Well, it's 2023. Who sends snail mail? Like,
because those are getting hacked now.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So, but just, I mean, little things like that, like to our core, we really are not good at that skill, but like we're making a conscious effort to like improve those things. And so I'm trying to do that too with my workspaces. And I'm sure, you know, they're going to have their moments, but having core organization at its, like, you know,
core,
I guess. Yeah, I was like, fuck.
She's trying not to say. She's trying not to say core again, and it's the only word.
But having that makes it easier for me to clean up.
Yeah.
Right.
So now having like the shipping station organized again, and my office mostly organized again. When I actually go through and clean it, it doesn't take me forever, and I don't just shift stuff out of the way. It actually most of the time has a place.
It's just not in the place.
Right.
Yeah. Systems, right? Like just having some sort of system at its core to being able to
sponsored by the word core.
This episode. Oh man. So what do you have anything like new and exciting?
Yeah, she's getting a mirror
coming up. Well, yeah, that's true. That's probably what's new and exciting.
What are your big plans for the Mirror 9 when you get it?
Yeah.
I'm thinking like kind of talking about, right, like what you're saying about slowing down and doing one thing at a time. And I know we had kind of talked about sharing like advice for like any new laser owner. And I'm reflecting on like this even though I've been working with the Glowforge, right, it's a whole different beast, right, than moving into something like the Mirror 9 and really having to understand more about laser technology and construction and whatever. But I feel myself doing the same thing, right? The like new user thing, like just hurry up and like get there and not have the patience for the learning process. And giving myself, I can already feel it, right? I don't want to like give myself time to arrive at this new skill and remember that it is a new skill and that we don't learn by osmosis and we have to mess up and do things wrong. I don't think that I gave myself enough permission to do things badly at first.
None of us do. Yeah.
Right. So I mean, so I think I'm kind of in this new parallel process.
Yeah.
Of like
I think that's
doing
one of
it
the
over.
in like having so much help in the groups is that we kind of like think that like we can get all the answers and that means we won't fail.
Right.
And it's like it gets us most of the way, but we have to then apply it. And there's still like what I always ran into when someone would give me advice in those groups and I'd like post and they'd be like, oh, use this glue. But they wouldn't tell me that they use a paintbrush to apply that glue or, you know, that kind of stuff. Or like
tricks.
Oh, use 3M. Well, use 3M before cutting. Like, you know, things like that. Like they give you like the quick answer because we're all like, oh, I know this answer. Let me help them. But then, you know, you don't have the time to sit there and like go through step by step how you actually use that tool. And so it's like you're given the information, but you still have to kind of fill in those gaps and make that information work for you. But we go into it thinking, oh, so-and-so said this stuff is the holy grail. Let me go try it. And it fails horribly. And you're like, what are they talking about?
Well,
you know?
And something I talked about at the laser conference too, which I think is really important, is that like we all have different lives. So and we all have different materials and different needs and different strengths and different growing edges. And you know, like, so I can't say that like use spray paint. I can't tell you that is the way you should paint everything, because if you live in North Dakota, you can't go outside and spray paint. And in an apartment, you can't build a spray tent in your garage. Like that is so defeating to new users who just need to know how to paint the thing. We have to start thinking about what tools are going to fit in my life that I can have success with, that's going to work. And be like honest about like, okay, some of that stuff is just not going to work. I don't spray paint in the winter. I live in Washington. It's wet.
Right.
I try sometimes and then I regret it. I have like spray paint cans on my lawn because I also do that. But yeah, I mean, I think we kind of we get all these quick answers, but we have to remember that we have a whole different context. Our life is so much different than everybody else's. And so it doesn't have to be a one size fits all. And we have to make a mess and be okay failing, like have a relationship with failure, because that is a stepping stone to growth and new information. And exactly. And it doesn't mean that I'm bad or I'm not. I mean, I think it can be tricky in our thoughts, right? Like, especially when we're all comparing ourselves to everybody else in the groups and social media. Everybody's posting their wins. We're not necessarily posting the huge failures all the time. And so, you know, we're like comparing and it's like we can
I will say that your first collision, as we call it, on your Mirror 9, we call that a rite of passage. So
cool.
When it happens, because it will happen.
I don't even know what a collision is.
Oh, you'll know when it happens. So when your laser head hits something it should not, that's what a collision is. And it makes a god-awful noise. And it's terrifying. And you think you broke your very expensive laser and you freak out. Well, there's an emergency stop button. So anytime you're unsure, I always have my hand on the emergency stop button, like ready to, like, if I need to, got it. But you will freak out. But again, it's a rite of passage. Once you have your collision, then you you go to the groups and you freak out, and all of us say, "Oh, it's okay. You had your first one. I remember my first one." Yeah. And then you square laser head and you see if there's any kind of other. You might have to replace your autofocus pin.
Yeah, I was like, these bent pins in the. Yeah.
Yep. So I'll just throw that out there. So when it happens, hopefully you remember this moment.
I will now.
Calm down a little bit because it's
you won't freak out as bad.
No, you don't.
The first person I message.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know if I don't think I've had one again since it happened.
Right.
Because now anytime I use autofocus, my hands I have my hand on the emergency stop before I even put start autofocus. And my anxiety is so bad. I joke that my anxiety is I get anxious about the wind because I literally could get anxious about anything.
Yeah.
And so I kind of want to manually focus just so I don't have to go through the anxiety of autofocus, because autofocus is where I had my collision, because the pen was just off of the material.
Yeah, autofocus PTSD.
I do. Yeah. I totally do. And so I kind of want to just manually do it so I don't have to go through that again. But then I'm also lazy, so I don't.
But I will say, don't be afraid of the mirror, because even if you do mess something up, tech support is great.
They're amazing,
and they'll walk, and the community is great too. So there's a lot of resources to get the problem fixed in a timely manner,
as opposed to
which is a big deal.
Emails, chains back and forth.
So don't, and everything's accessible with the mirror as well. So so don't be afraid of it.
Yeah,
don't be afraid of it. Just get in there, and anyone that's using it, just get in there and do it. She won't let me touch it yet, but
sometimes I have you help me clean every once in a while.
Yeah. Clean when she's there supervising.
Yeah. I'm a control freak, sorry.
So, but don't be afraid.
I waited so long to get it that now everybody I know has already done it.
Right, yeah.
So,
which is good. Yeah, because we got you.
People I have to be able to be help me.
Right. Yeah.
I'll be our group chat with Will, Heather, and Missa. I can't wait until March because there will be a lot of what the fuck is this?
There will. Though it's hard for me. I am that person that will I will spend 10 hours on Google before
you ask. Just come
and get there, right?
Just ask. They've all been through it.
We'll save you time.
Yeah. No need to Google. They went through that already.
We might laugh a little bit only because we've been there. Remember when we asked the same question? Oh, yeah.
Well, I'll do it just for your nostalgia,
Thank you. Yeah. Do it for me, not for you.
Yeah.
Do we already cover new advice?
Yes.
Oh, we did. Okay.
She kind of covered it.
We need to cover coupons.
Oh yeah.
Coupons.
How do you say it?
Huh? I say coupons.
Coupons. Okay.
Yeah. But some people say coupons.
Coupons. Yeah.
I'm sure Heather says it weird.
She has a couple. Oh yeah, I'm sure Heather says it weird.
She says it weird. She says everything weird.
But adorable.
Of course. Yes. Yeah. If I didn't like you, I wouldn't make fun of how you talked.
Of course.
It's only because I love her.
Yeah.
So you have a couple, but we're only going to mention one.
Yep. Yeah. So I do have an SVG shop, which is Missa by Missa. Missa by Missa. LaserDesigns ByMissa.
You see, she did too. Missa by Missa.
Was it on purpose? Yeah.
Yeah. LaserDesigns ByMissa on Etsy, right?
Yeah, it's ByMissa, ByMissa.net on Etsy. I used to sell art on Etsy, real physical framed art on Etsy, and it was ByMissa back in 2011, and I was lazy and I didn't want to start my Etsy store and get a new name, so that's how that started. Anyway,
would have done the same thing.
2011 me.
Yeah.
Made that decision. I've got a 20% off coupon for my SVG shop. So that's our Black 20 will be good. until I think I'll do a month.
Yeah, that was good. Good time.
Yeah.
It's a good time.
Yeah. And then there will be a bigger one for our patrons, of course.
Of course,
always got to give them
a little bit. Yeah, they give us a little bit, we give them a little bit.
Right.
Yep.
So where can people find you? You already said it kind of, but.
Yeah, so my Etsy is ByMissa.net, and then I'm also trying real hard to grow my Instagram. So
it's rough.
Right?
One day at a time.
BY_MISSA. So ByMissa on Instagram. And I don't have the other ones memorized, but I do have a Facebook group.
Yeah.
I do have a Facebook group. That's LaserDesigns ByMissa. You can't miss it. It's got the big manta ray that is now in space as my logo that I just put up.
Brand new logo.
Manta. So
I did like how someone made a good point though of waiting until you kind of find your niche to do to do your logo, because then you don't have to worry about rebranding.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you kind of, I guess you're rebranding from no branding.
Right.
But, or just like no logo or whatever.
Launching your brand.
Yeah. Cause like what's kind of happened now is I still love mine, but I kind of want to adjust it a little bit because now things have shifted and changed so much. Yeah. But like now it's like me. So I like, you know, and it's finding a new rebranding would be one, it's annoying and tough because like you have all your materials and the logos and the SVGs and the PNGs and all that.
ABCs, CBDs.
But there is a benefit to kind of waiting until you figure out what you're going to do to get all that together later, because then you can really make it truly represent you.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't have a vision before, and then it really started to develop, and yeah. So it happened.
Now it's very, very you, very Missa ByMissa.
Well, Missa, thanks for enduring the coughs and spending time out
hanging in there through all of our
and for
reschedules and all of that.
Yeah.
And
of course.
And stay tuned for our life update coming up next.
All right.
And we're back with the life update.
Yeah.
And what an update do we have for you guys? As you saw on Facebook and Instagram and all the things, we were in urgent care.
Yeah.
Which is why we had to postpone the recording.
Yeah, we had to reschedule Missa.
Yeah. So
which it was I was not, I'm annoyed that I was not like on my game, and that like when I wanted to say something it would be interrupted by coughs and stuff, and it's just I'm over it. I'm ready to feel better. It's exhausting to like feel like this and to have such a nasty cough for so long.
I know usually when I get sick, I get those cough attacks too, and it takes like everything out of you.
Yeah, it's like literally physically exhausting when you and I guess not the worst part, because all of it sucks, is every morning I wake up to
with a cough attack
at like 5 a.m.
Yeah.
And it's like an hour or two before the boys even wake up. And then like now I'm like, you know, it's exhausting. I'm running to the bathroom to like, you know, I'm like, is it going to make me gag? Is it going to make me pee myself literally? Or like, you know, and it's just, and then it's physically exhausting. And then as soon as I'm like able to like calm it down, and again, I'm exhausted from doing so. I'm exhausted because it's 5 a.m., whatever. Then the boys come rolling in at 7 a.m. And it's just,
go time. It's go time.
It's rough. And it's definitely, I don't know, maybe it's part of the process, but it's not improving how I want it to. Like the tickle is harder and harder to like control and not cough.
Right. Yeah.
And
which that's the worst part, because you don't have to cough, but you feel it like right in the back.
Yeah.
And then,
even when I don't.
And then when you start coughing, then that triggers your gag reflex. And then that button is pushed. And every cough after that is like a dry heave.
Yep.
Which is the part that sucks for me when I get like that. But
so so it's just like, you know, being on the podcast and talking, and it's like there's things I can't say or I want to say, or I'm like I'm ruining the like the the tip for newbies of like how to do something while I'm like, they're just worried about me dying, like, not being able to breathe. They're not caring about what tip I'm trying to give at the moment.
No, they do care about the tip. They want you to not die so you can give the tip.
Right.
And then die after.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Give the tip first.
True. But yeah, so I'm doing my best. I'm trying to stay as positive as I possibly can, making reels from the couch when I can from, video I already have or video I'm able to get with little to no effort. Yeah, and really the podcast.
And we have some exciting news about the podcast is we got some ads.
Yeah, I mean, as it is, like we potentially have all 4 filled. Like and we filled for the year.
4, and we picked 4 because we don't want to inundate you guys with ads throughout the podcast.
No.
And they're not going to be in one huge chunk either.
No.
We'll spread them out and it's 30 seconds intervals.
Yeah.
Hopefully 30 seconds. We'll
30
try to
to
keep
60
it,
we said, but yeah.
We'll try to keep it there. That way, and
they're relevant.
Right.
So they're not going to be like
it's not going to be Manscaped.
Random,
it's not going to be it's not going to be HelloFresh.
Listen, if Manscaped wants to, if they're going to pay some good money.
Well, they do pay good money, but we need the download. We need the download though.
We do.
If you want to hear a Manscaped ad from here or HelloFresh,
hey, our downloads have been increasing rapidly.
Yes.
So
yes.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, honestly, the fact that you guys listen made it so that we are able to sell ads because we now have the listeners and the downloads that support the fact that we have a platform that would be mutually beneficial to those who are running the ads and those who are paying us to do so.
Right.
So yeah, it's very exciting. And again, I kind of mentioned that they all signed up for the year. So that's awesome too. I mean, podcasts, if you don't know, most of them do not make much money at all. And even when they do, it's not a ton.
You have to have a follow, like a fame following already to get the numbers like as soon as you start.
Right. So the fact that, we're able to have our amazing patrons and now our amazing ad sponsors is super exciting.
It's huge.
So we still, those 4 ad spots, 3 are full, 1 is pending.
Right.
But we still do have 2 spots.
There it is. Here it comes.
Talk about the sponsors.
So we have 2 spots that we're going to do sponsors at the beginning of the show, kind of like, so it won't be an ad. It'll just be a mention of your business. So like we'll just use Heather's Lobo Designs, for instance, be like, today's episode is sponsored by Lobo Designs.
Right. Yeah.
Just a quick mention.
So it'll be perfect for like file designers if you want to get your name out there, running a sale or something like that. Because it's a quick mention of your company, not necessarily like,
and obviously not as expensive as an ad,
right? And so there'll be one price for the beginning of the episode, and then another price for one before these life updates that we now do at the end,
right? So it'll be like life update sponsored by Lobo Designs.
Mm-hmm. But other than that, I mean, nothing new. Our LLCs, I think, are official.
Yep.
So that's exciting. I was a sole proprietor before, as you guys probably found out on our accountant episode, and she found out as well.
And she said, we're going to change that.
Yeah, because I primarily used to work with her mom and her sister, so now I work with her.
And Riley Black Media is official LLC.
Yeah. So we're getting all your graphics and pricing packages and stuff together.
For my coming out party.
Yeah, you already have a few potential... few clients and a few more potential, so that's exciting. But yeah, I'm really just focused on trying to get better and hustle as much as I can again from the couch in my office and what I'm able to do. And
because 2023, it's gonna be big for us.
Yeah,
I have a feeling
it's gonna. I'm determined. Like it's like I'm to the point where I'm like. I'm annoyed. I'm like, I don't care like what comes at us. Like it's just, we're gonna do it.
gonna crush our goals that we have for this year. And
at times I don't know how.
Right.
There's like, what at least there's been a couple, January's been rough. This month, I swear, like it always feels like a year in itself.
Right.
At the beginning of a year, especially when it's a rough one. Cause like last year we started the year with COVID.
Yeah.
So, and this is, I don't know, COVID light or COVID's cousin or whatever the fuck this is. But it's like, even in the moments that have been rough in January so far, I've known I can do it.
Right.
I at least haven't been like, oh, what am I doing? I give up. It's been like, I know I can do it, but then there's times where I just don't know how. And then when I don't know how, I reach out to my support systems, either you, my mom, Heather, Will, like, and those people have been able to help me see the how when I can't see it.
Right. Yeah.
So,
and this is another point that I made to you early in the week when we when we were like going through stuff. It's very important to surround yourself with people who are like-minded. And we're growing. I'm growing Rally Black Media. You're growing the designs and silhouette and everything. So our friends from childhood who are just, they're in the system, they're just working for, whatever they do. Yeah. Whatever job they found. Don't, it's not the same mindset. Right. So you go to them, you say, hey man, I'm really struggling. Hey, how's it going? Oh, I'm really struggling with this. I don't know which way to go, this and that. They can't really give us any insight because they don't know. They haven't gone through it. They have, they're just not in it. They're in a different mindset. Where you talk to Will, you talk to Heather, whoever within the community, everyone's like-minded and can give you solid advice as to, well, maybe you should move this way. Maybe you should move that way. Yep. Have you thought of doing it this? Have you thought of, how about this? So they can give you like actual, so surrounding yourself with like-minded people and people who are in the same industries of their life, even because it doesn't even necessarily have to be same industry. No, because small business is small business. Exactly. And if you're starting something from zero, you're starting something from zero. Yep. So there could be insights in another industry that maybe doesn't translate 100% to this industry, but still translates. For sure. So you can take from that. So it's very important to surround yourself with like-minded people or people in the same stage. And then just one little update on JR. January has been a lot better than December. It hasn't been without its trials and tribulations. But I feel like he's made a lot of growth, and so have we. Yes. We still have our moments, all of us. Yes, we do. We were told by several people, again, I want to thank everybody who has reached out. It means a lot. Like the fact, just knowing I'm not alone. That's why I kind of talked about it, is for others to know that they aren't alone if they're struggling. And people, again, reaching out to me, letting me know that I'm not alone is amazing too. But a lot of the advice I got, either from the podcast or other friends, was to find a this is a great story.
Developmental pediatrician.
Yeah, so we found one. And we went to the office. We booked the appointment.
And we were super excited.
We went there.
She had really good reviews.
She was really nice.
She was very nice.
And she's like, what are you guys in for?
And I said, we were looking for a developmental pediatrician.
Oh, yeah, I'm not that.
I'm listed incorrectly.
Yeah, I don't know why it keeps listing me like that. I'm not one. Yeah. So, there's that.
Yeah. So we'll be.
But she did give us a lot. She did give us tips and directions.
And she verified that the doctor that we have scheduled in April for the neurologist is a good one. Right. And I was worried about it because he didn't have such great reviews online. Right. So but having that validation, he's
been in it forever.
Yeah.
And so he's solid.
So it wasn't for nothing, and we did make sure to focus on that.
Yeah.
But
there was that. As soon as she's like, oh yeah, I'm not one of those. Like, well, okay. But luckily she didn't like, okay, I'm not one, sorry, and then left. Like she actually, well, what are you guys going through? Like what, like, so she did want to help, even though,
she still a great doctor.
Yeah, she's a good doctor. Yeah. If we didn't already have a
a
pediatrician that we liked, then established, we'd probably like, oh, maybe we'd switch, but Martel, you're keeping us.
Yeah. That's about all we got.
That's all we got. See you guys at the laser conference.
Yeah. Hopefully less coughing next week.
Hopefully. And with a functioning back. And
my back
just functioning.
My back is not even like
a problem.
It's still like
because you're coughing up a lung.
Yeah, my chiropractor was like, you're just kind of like re-injuring it over and over again. I'm like, yay, it's my life. But yeah, thankfully my back is a lot better. And then at some point I will work on this neck that apparently is
going the wrong way,
not where it should be. So yeah, that's 2023 is get Crystal healthier.
Yeah, we're trying
baby steps.
Yep. Well, that'll do it for us. Thank you guys for listening as always, and it's been another great episode of the Ride Back Project with Crystal and John.
Bye.
Maybe we're all done.